I've been joined here by Ryan Bradley today, and before we talk about your involvement in the band, Ryan, can I ask, it must feel like you've been part of this band your whole life, to an extent. Your parents, Chris and Evelyn, who play cornet and baritone, you have been coming to the rehearsals from as early as you can remember. What is your first memory of Whitburn Band?
Yeah, so pretty much as far back as I remember, always coming to rehearsals. But in terms of first memories, I don't have like a specific point, but just I remember being in the old library in the band hall upstairs, climb up the ladders with my little sister Lauren, and we'd sit and draw things while listening to the band. And one of the first pieces of music I remember hearing was it was the Paul Cooper piece,
Breath of Souls,
Breath
was
of
it?
Souls.
London?
Yeah. But that wasn't like when I was really young, so I think that's when the memory started of like listening to music. But I do remember, like, I couldn't tell you how young it was going into the library and drawing things.
Yeah. What did you think of Mum and Dad being involved in this group of people who made all this noise with instruments?
Yeah, well, I guess I didn't question it because I knew it since I was so young.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if I got thrown into it when I was 15 or 16 and hadn't ever heard of a brass band, it'd be really different.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just kind of normality, like band is just a thing that happens.
Of course. And moving forward, when you then went into school, you got the chance to play an instrument, but it wasn't brass that you ended up doing, it was percussion. How did that come about?
Again, it's as far back as I can remember. There's a picture of me with a drum kit, me and my dad, when I was 4 or 5 years old. So I don't know if I'd been asking for a drum kit. You'd have to ask my parents about that. But I'd always been hitting things. My dad did try to teach me a little bit of brass, but I was just always wanting to hit things. And yeah, I've been playing the drums. I got my first proper drum kit when I was 8 years old, and ever since then I've been playing.
And you've been a percussionist, yeah. You joined the Whitburn Beginners Group and then progressed to the youth band through the partnership system and then finally into Heartlands, and you won your first Scottish title in 2015 and took a trip to the national finals at Cheltenham. What was that experience like? Yeah,
that was great. Obviously, being so young, getting to go to the finals. Talking about like the youth band, I actually remember the night that I joined. We went to the church up in Whitburn, and there was a concert with the youth band. Don't think the Heartlands were even a thing then.
Yeah.
And my mum went and spoke to someone and was like, "Oh, can Ryan go to the rehearsal tomorrow?" It was a Saturday night. The youth band rehearsing on Sundays. And ever since then, and then, as you say, went into the Heartlands. And yeah, Cheltenham was great. I'm not great with memory, like I've got a pretty short-term memory. I can tell you what happened last week, but I do have good memories, good banter going down in the bus. It was, obviously, couldn't drink at that age, but we still had a good time on the bus and in the bars, drinking juice or something. But yeah, that was a really good weekend. That's the only time I've played at Cheltenham, and it was great.
And it wasn't long, of course, as you progressed before you joined the senior band. And I remember that being the Troon contest, I think. What year was that you joined the senior band?
I guessed it, I think it was 2014, so this was before the Heartlands Cheltenham performance.
Mm-hmm.
But then I didn't actually properly play with the band again until the Albert Hall in 2016.
2016, yeah. What did it feel like playing? I mean, you mentioned there the Albert Hall. What did it feel like playing at the Albert Hall, but playing with the senior band and everything that goes with that, and of course, playing in a band that your parents have played in for years and continue to do still today?
Great, because I've been to almost every rehearsal. I knew almost everyone in the band, so it's not like I turned up and I was having to introduce myself to the individuals in the band. It just already kind of felt like a family, as a band are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something which a lot of people have mentioned. Various players and various ages have mentioned the community and the family aspect to the band. So you played in the senior band for a few years, and then in 2020 the COVID pandemic arrived and everything stopped. But for you, I think you might have been the busiest person, and it links in a bit with what you do at university. And what did the band ask you to do back in 2020 when we couldn't play live together?
Yeah, so I remember we were on a Zoom call in March 2020, and we spoke about trying to put one of these virtual performances together, like the likes of Corey had done. I think Foden's had done one as well, and I knew that I could try put one together. So Charlie said, "I'll do the March Stars and Stripes," and then I put a click track together. I'd obviously the stuff I do at uni, I work with click tracks all the time. I hardly ever don't play to a click. So I knew how to do that, and then I already knew how to edit music together. I already knew how to edit videos. I wasn't great at it, and that's the one thing that I've got a lot better at. So I just kind of tried, and then next thing you know, I think we got 15,000 views within 2 weeks of the Stars and Stripes videos, and since then I have done 200.
I know, and you've been well renowned for the work you've done there. So that experience at first must have been quite daunting, but now it will come as a very easy thing for you. For those of us who don't know, can you talk us through what you have to give the band, and then what you get sent back, and then what do you have to do to edit it together?
So the first thing I do is I'll get a previous performance of the piece of music that's been chosen. I'll analyse it for tempo. I'll look at the score for any tempo changes, and I'll line up a click which is like an audible click, just so the band can hear it, because the band don't have a conductor to play to. They need to hear the audible click to stay in time. So I'll line up the click with the previous performance. I'll maybe do some changes to the tempo. Maybe the band that have played it a bit slower than I wanted to go. Then I'd speed it up a little, or slow it down. Then I send that out to the band along with some notes on any tempo changes, anything they might need to keep an eye on. Then 2 or 3 weeks later, hopefully, all the band have sent me their parts. They've just recorded on their phones their part. Then they send it back to me, and I take all the audio from everyone's video and line it up in a digital audio workstation, or DAW. And this allows me to put everyone on a separate track, and what I can do is go through and mute or solo each individual person, and I can do some editing. So if some people have played a bit early, I can drag that note to the left or right, or if people have played a wee bit out of tune, you can go up or down in pitch. So I like to think of it as like an X and a Y on a graph. Always do my timing first, so make sure everyone's in time. Once that's done, the second stage is making sure everyone is in tune as much as possible. Sometimes you can, just because of if someone's recorded in a really reverberant room, you can't actually tune them that well. Then after that, finish the audio, I'll move on to video editing, and if you've ever seen them, it's for a long time it was just people in boxes on screens. But as the year went on, it started getting more, not competitive, but everyone was bringing out these videos with these really impressive graphics, so I felt like every time I had to step up my game in my video editing, which has been great because now I'm a lot better at it. And then we started using green screens, so people on different backgrounds. But pretty much you put the audio together, make it sound as good as possible, try to make it sound like a band playing in real life. And then I accompany that audio with a separate video file that I've put together.
Great. I mean, the videos that you've produced have just been remarkable, so it's brilliant to watch the finished article. The band's 150th anniversary was in 2020, and obviously we couldn't play, but we did a concert, a celebration concert, and that was with the world-renowned legendary trumpet player Mike Lovett. Was that quite fun to put together, or were you quite stressed having to put that together?
Well, I've definitely been more stressed since then. Definitely over the last month, it's been the most stressful time in my life, with all this plus uni. But back then, I didn't have anything else to do. I spent almost every hour of every day doing it because I didn't really know how to do it yet. This was maybe my 4th project I'd taken on. So a lot of it was a learning curve. Like that was when I developed the ways to do the stuff I do now. So yeah, very daunting, but the end product was great. And
yeah.
Like, for instance, back then, I think it took me 8 weeks to put it together for 8 pieces of music. Now I could do that in 8 days probably, because I've done it so much. I can do things really fast and efficiently now.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, not only have you produced 28 videos with Whitburn Band, you've also lent your talents to the likes of the Junior Royal Conservatoire of Scotland and workshops through the Scottish Brass Band Association and others. Finally, as we get to the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were, and we approached the Whitburn Virtual Festival. So tell us about that and what your role in that was.
Yeah, so I produced the visual and audio aspect of all the adjudications. So every band sent in their pre-edited video, and I was in charge of making sure that I had all the judges all speaking at the same time. Because what a lot of people don't realise is audio and video are two completely separate things. And that the thing that took the longest for that was making sure I had all 4 cameras for each judge, and all 4 of their microphone. That's 8 sources of media. All of them had to be lined up and had 8 hours of footage, and it all got condensed down into, I think it was 7 hours of broadcast. But my other roles in that were putting together promo videos, all the images for the backgrounds. So behind the judges, I had to make sure it all looked professional, put in all the sponsor logos. And obviously the biggest task was the Whitburn Gala concert. So 5 pieces of music and some quite challenging videos that took quite a long time to put them together. But it included some of the favourite items we've done. So for instance, Hope that we've done, and Earthwalk are probably my 2 favourite things we've done. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and that was of course almost at the end of this journey, if you want to call it. So that was all your skills that you had learned had been put together, and of course the band will have learned how to go around doing that process as well. So 28 performances later, and as we've mentioned, working with other ensembles and groups and workshops, how will you look back on this last year? Personally, for the band, how will you talk about it in years to come?
Well, it's the busiest I've ever been in my life. Literally since probably September last year, I've not had a proper week where I've not edited something. Except the past couple of weeks, I've had time off and it's been amazing. But I'll look back on it fondly because I've made so many videos. I actually plan on putting together like a mosaic of everything I've done, like around about 200 videos. I'll get to that at some point. I don't really want to think about it right now. But definitely look back on it fondly because it's been great to build that skill set, and it's going to allow me to pursue a career in that technical side of music, which is what's looking like I'm going to do. So yeah, it's been a great thing to happen, but going forward, I do hope it's not as demanding because there's not a lot of people to do this thing. So if you're good at it, a lot of people ask you to do things, and I'm not very good at saying no.
So you get lots of knocks on the door and lots of phone calls. I'm sure though you'll be glad to be back playing percussion with Whitburn live again in the band room and back on stage later this year. So finally, Ryan, thinking of that process that you've been doing with the online banding and your career today, what would you say if your 1 or 2 best moments of being involved in Whitburn Band have been in the years you've been here so far?
Best moments. Definitely the editing is the thing that stands out, obviously. That's like the most involved I've been. But also Brass in Concert 2018, was it? Yeah, when we played All Is Hell That Ends Well. That was the first time the band played to a click track, I think, and I organised the tech setup, so myself and the conductor Lee Baker were on click for the band to play. I was playing drums. So I think that was a standout moment as well. That was like a real highlight for me because I love technology, and blending technology with a traditional thing like a brass band really excites me.
Yeah, and it's been great to be involved in that, I'm sure, from your perspective, and it's been great to be involved in it as a player and then to see the final articles as well. So Ryan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.